So, the Duskbloods. Let's talk about it. Regardless of the name, it is definitely the long-awaited Bloodborne 2. I have no doubt. The name change could be because Sony has the rights to Bloodborne, or honestly something else entirely, but it is definitely Bloodborne 2. I mean, the gothic look, everything being about blood, 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 it's even in the name, and even the gameplay all scream Bloodborne. Miyazaki even said in a recent interview that blood symbolizes one of the game's key themes: the history it holds, the power it passes on, the fates it weaves, and the marker of those who have surpassed the limitations of their own humanity. Sounds familiar, right? Plus, something that I noticed that is kind of poetic in a way is that Bloodborne takes place all in one night. It's a long night, but still one night. And dusk is the period just before nightfall, at the darkest moment of twilight. So it's kind of poetic, and it also makes me question whether it's a prequel to Bloodborne, because, nightfall and then after night. Anyways, that's all speculation, but my question is it a good sequel to Bloodborne? Well, it's coming out sometime in 2026. The exact date is unknown as of right now, and, well, to be honest, I think it looks really good. It's been very controversial because of the price, the exclusivity, and the player versus player aspect, that it's really big and not so much single player, which I get that being controversial, but honestly, I think it looks pretty good. And if you just look at the gameplay and the trailer, I think it looked pretty sick. And let's be honest, it's coming from Software, and they've already given us Elden Ring, Bloodborne, great games. And Hidetaka Miyazaki, I'm sorry for butchering that, I'm certain I did. I mean, he directed Elden Ring. That's a fantastic game, so that gives me a lot of hope. There are a few cons, though, and depending on how you look at it, they could be big ones, could be little ones. But one con is it's going to be exclusively on Nintendo. And not just that, but exclusively on the Nintendo Switch 2, which, by the way, that's coming out on June 5th. And this is the one thing that Bloodborne fans hate the most, other than the whole, 30 FPS thing, is that Bloodborne is not on PC, it's just on PlayStation, which excludes quite a few fans of other Soulsborne games who have a PC, but obviously don't want to blow hundreds of dollars on a PlayStation just to play the one game, no matter how good of a game it is. But anyway, Nintendo could only plan on it being exclusive to Nintendo 2 for a little while, weeks to months, then release it to other devices. But knowing Nintendo, it's probably meant to be forever exclusive. So I guess the Bloodborne curse continues, and its unofficial sequel is still trapped in one device. That leads me into my next point, the next con, and that's the fact that this game is $90 to pre-order. You heard me right, 90. And I used to think that the usual Nintendo pricing of, 40 to 60 was bad, was really high. But now they've just gone completely off the rails. Not only do you have to buy a Nintendo 2 for $500, the same price as a PS5, but you also have to buy games for $90 a pop. And it's not just Bloodborne that costs this much. Every Switch game on Nintendo 2 is going to be around $80 to $90. Like, I get that they need to make money, and game developers put a lot of hard work into games. I get that. But this is ridiculous. I mean, you can get games on a PS5. Expensive to make, long games, on sale for as low as $15. I bought Hollow Knight, absolute masterpiece of a game, for $10. On sale for $10. And I bought Bloodborne, first one, of course, on sale for about $30, $40, and they're going to charge $90? Absolute ripoff. This is another problem, is that it excludes a lot of their audience, because no kid can afford that, and no parents are, rightfully so, going to blow almost $100 on one game for their kid. Gaming should not be an exclusive, high-end, fancy hobby. It should be for everybody to be able to do it. I do think, though, that Sony waited way too long and messed up big time, because the thing is, there will still be thousands of people lining up to buy the Switch 2 and the game, no matter the price. And despite, the cons, the pricing, the exclusivity, whatever, genuinely, the game doesn't actually look that bad. I know some people were, kind of mad because it seems totally different from Soulsborne games because of its PvPvE. So, you'd be playing against other players while fighting the environment, which is like Hunt Showdown if you've ever played that. But that's a pretty fun game. I enjoy Hunt. And I know it's vastly different from the strictly cooperative multiplayer, but pretty much only single player that, Bloodborne and Elden Ring host. And it also doesn't have an open world and only has maps, which, to be honest, makes it seem like another multiplayer shooter game with just maps based on the world of Bloodborne. Which, it doesn't sound awful, I think that they can make multiplayer elements really fun, even though I know a lot of Bloodborne fans like me prefer single player and open world. I think they can make it fun. And I would 100% play this game or something like this. But the thing is, the whole point of Bloodborne, open world game. Big bad bosses you spend months fighting just to kill and just feels so damn cool killing. I think if they would include elements of player versus player, and multiplayer in Duskblood, I think it would be much better than just having maps and only being able to play matches with and against other players. But I think a single player storyline along with that would be great. But at the end of the day, whatever we get, we get. It's been almost 10 years, almost exactly actually, since the first Bloodborne came out in 2015. And honestly, I'm just glad someone is finally doing a sequel, considering Sony has screwed this up way too much, doing absolutely nothing with Bloodborne. They sold millions of copies, they made so much money, people love the game. But Sony just kind of lets it sit in the corner and rot, which is a travesty, honestly. But even if Duskbloods is unofficial, exclusive, and expensive, so long as the game is somewhat decent, somewhat fun, at least has elements of Bloodborne, which I think it will, because like I said, it's from Software, and the same developer who did Elden Ring is doing it, so that's a really good sign. And as long as it's somewhat decent, I take this as a win. Anyway, thank you all for listening to my very long rant. I hope you learned something new, or at least somewhat enjoyed watching. And I appreciate you all. Thank you very much.